Welcome to the Knitting TurnPike. My name is Gina Pike. I'm so happy that you're here with me today. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a stitch tutorial video. If you've been following me this year, I started doing a project called the Japanese Sampler Blanket. The pattern is by Tony L. Lorenz, and it is a year-long mystery knit-along where each month you get a clue. You knit up a square, and at the end of the year you'll have 12 squares that you can make into a blanket. And all of these stitches, each month is a different stitch, is based on this beautiful book that I actually had in my library. It's the 1,000 Japanese Knitting and Crochet Stitches. It is written by Nihon Vogue. It's this book here, and it's translated by Gail Rowham. And it's just got a lot of beautiful stitches in here. I've been looking through it actually. The other day I was talking to one of my friends and we were talking about this, but there's some beautiful stitch patterns in this book, and a lot of the stitch patterns for this blanket are based on that. I will link the pattern page down below, and let's just go ahead and get started. These are all the stitches in the February's monthly clue. And then for this pattern, there's a Japanese cable version, which the Japanese patterns usually have lots of cables. Some people don't like to work on cables, so Tony was so nice to include with her pattern, her yearly pattern, a Lacey version. So if you are not interested in knitting a cabled blanket, you could knit a blanket that is more lacy, and they look very similar. So you get two patterns in one with this pattern offering. So anyway, I'll link that down below. Hope you'll check it out. If you want to knit this along with me, I would love that so much. Let me know down in the comments below if you are. But let's just go ahead and get started into the stitches for February's monthly clue. We're going to be doing the tutorial for the Japanese sampler blanket for February. These are the stitches we're going to be covering today for the cabled version. Some of these are crossovers from last month, but I'm still going to go ahead and show all the stitches for each month, even if they were shown in previous months, so that we can have a reference, just so that you have it all in one video and you don't have to go looking for various videos. The first one is the knit stitch. You're going to be knitting on the right side. Probably already know how to do this. Just reference real quickly. Knit stitch. You insert your right hand needle into your stitch on your left hand needle, wrap your yarn around, pull it through. This is English style knitting. That is what I do. I wish I did continental, but I don't. As you can see, it's just very quickly sticking your needle in, wrapping around, pulling it through. The knit stitch. The alternate component of that is the purl stitch. For the purl stitch, you bring your yarn to the front, insert your right hand needle into the next stitch on your left hand needle, wrap your yarn around your needle and pull it through. You're going to have a purl bump in front of your stitch, which is one. Again, bring your yarn to the front, insert your needle into the next stitch, wrap your yarn around it, pull it through. That is the purl stitch. Alright, let me talk about the edge stitch on this. The edge stitch is done a little bit differently for this blanket. It's to give you a nice finished edge. This is just my swatch. I'll show you what that looks like when I get my square out here in a minute. I thought I would do this tutorial on a lighter yarn in hopes that it's easier to see. Let me know if you like this better than using my red yarn and my actual square. For the edge stitch, you're going to have your working yarn in the front like this. You're going to insert your right hand needle into the edge stitch, and you're going to slip it purlwise with the yarn in front. Bring your yarn to the back like this, then slip it purlwise back to the left needle so that you're not changing the orientation at all. It looks like that. Then you knit that stitch and go on to whatever the next stitch is, and that's all you do. And it's giving you makes that edge stitch stand out a little bit, which is going to be helpful when you're seaming this to the additional panels that you're going to have from the months that we're going to be, like the next months that we're going to be doing for the rest of the year. Okay, we're going to do the bobble. We're just going to you do the bobble on a wrong side row. You started on a wrong side row. There's a couple of steps involved with this. One thing being said is if you don't like bobbles, you could always just replace this with a knit stitch, maybe even put a bead on it. You don't have to do the bobble, but there is a few steps involved in this, and just do the steps in the order that they are and see what you think. All right, so it's going to start with one stitch, and you're going to end with one stitch, but you are going to take the one stitch, increase it to 3, have 3 stitches, and then close it back up to 1 before you move on. So again, we are on a wrong side row. When you get to the stitch where the bobble is supposed to be, you're going to bring your yarn to the front because you're going to be purling. So you do a purl. This is on the same stitch, so do not take that stitch off the left-hand needle yet. Do a yarn over, so you bring your yarn around, wrap it around your knitting needle like that. Go back into that same stitch, purl it. So your one stitch has become 3. Then you turn it to the right side, and you're going to knit each one of these 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3 that you just made. Now you're going to go back to your wrong side. Okay, on the wrong side, again, you're going to bring your yarn to the front because you're going to slip those first 2 stitches purlwise, so your yarn's to the front like you're going to purl it, slip and slip, and then the last stitch you're going to purl it. Take your yarn to the back, and then you're going to take those first 2 stitches that you slipped and take them up and over that stitch and pass them over and off the knitting needle like that. And that is your bobble. This is what it looks like on the right side. It will look better after it's blocked. Let me get that yarn over. That's what it looks like. We're going to do it again. But that's what a bobble looks like. You bring your yarn to the front. The first thing you do, this is the stitch we're going to make the bobble, is you do a purl, yarn over purl in that same stitch. So do not take it off the left hand needle. Do the yarn over and then a purl. So your one stitch has become 3 stitches. You turn your work to the right side, knit all 3 stitches. And now we got to take these 3 stitches and take them back down to 1 before we move on. So you're going to make sure you're working yarns in the front because you're going to slip the first 2 stitches purlwise. You're going to purl that last stitch. And then you're going to take those 2 stitches that you slipped, and you're going to slip them up and over that stitch you purled. And that is your bobble stitch. It's a new way for me to do a bobble. It's kind of interesting. I love learning new things. But there's your bobble. These are the 2 bobbles. Again, if you don't like the bobble stitch, you can just skip it. Use a stitch that you do like. You could knit a stitch, add a bead to it if you want. I'm not sure what that would look like for the Japanese, but it would look really pretty for the lace. There is this bobble stitch in the lace, and it is done exactly the same way in the lace. But that's what it looks like. There's the bobble stitch there, and there's the bobble stitch there. I think it looks really good, and I'm really excited to try and learn a new way to do the bobble stitch. Now, if you have a mistake and you need to go back and just rip it, don't get confused about ripping it apart. It's not that hard. Just go to it. What I would do is I would take it off and just carefully undo all those little stitches until you get to where it was, and there you go. Now you're back to where you were. Actually, there's one more. You can take it to right there and do it, and now you're right to where you were. So you could take it off the needle and just pull all those stitches out. And then when you get close to the end, just carefully take it to that last stitch. That has to be oriented the right way. And there you go. It's easy to undo as well. Sorry, my camera wasn't focusing there. Okay, now we're to the point where we're going to do the cable stitches. We have 4 unique cables. Actually, these top 2 we did last month. The great thing about all of these cable stitches is, looky here, they're all knits over here. So we're just going to be knitting. We're not going to have any extra purl stitches in these cable stitches. But this is my cheat sheet that I like to write out. But the first one's a 2-stitch cable, so is the second one. And the last 2 are 3-stitch cables. We're going to do the first one is this 1B, 1F. It's going to be a right leaning cable. So let's do that. I have my DPN this morning. I could not find my cable needle this morning. So we're just going to use a DPN that I had in my project bag. So it's a 1B, 1F. 1B, 1F. So what you're going to do is take your cable needle, your DPN, put that next stitch on your left hand needle, hold it to the back because it's leaning to the right. That B also gives you a hint to hold it to the back. You knit the next stitch on your left hand needle, then you knit the next stitch on your cable needle. Right leaning cable. Looks like that. I'll do that again. Take the next stitch on your left hand needle, hold it to the back because it says B and it's a right leaning cable. Knit the next stitch on your left hand needle, knit the next stitch on your right hand needle. Left leaning cable. Again, another way you can do this is you can just be really careful, hold it to the back, reorient your stitches before you knit them. So you want to get the next stitch, grab the next stitch that you were holding to the back. So now you've got them reoriented. Put them back on your left hand needle and just knit them. So there's a couple of ways to do this. Find that there's always, it seems like a couple of ways to do things in knitting. So there you had your right leaning cable holding it to the back. That's the 1B, 1F cable. Alright, the next stitch we're going to do is the 1F, 1B. We did this last week because it's 1F, 1B. It is a left leaning cable. The next stitch on your left hand needle, you put it on your cable needle or your DPN, hold it to the front, and you're going to knit the next stitch on your left hand needle, and then knit the stitch that's on your DPN or cable needle. You see why it's called an F, because your stitch is held to the front and it makes it be a left leaning cable. Anytime you have an F for a front cable, left leaning cable, for a left leaning cable, you always take your stitch that you're holding to the front to make it lean to the left. And that's what it looks like. Again, let's do that again. That was a lot of me talking. Let me get this oriented right. Alright, you take your next stitch on your left hand needle, hold it to the front, knit the next stitch on your left hand needle, and then knit the stitch on your cable needle. And there you go. 2 left leaning cables right there. Again, if you want to do this holding it to the I find that holding it to the front is always easier than holding it to the back. Just hold it to the front, pinch it, reorient your stitches so you got your stitches oriented correctly. Then just knit the 2, put them back on your left hand needle and knit them. Gives you the same result. And that's if you don't have a if you don't have a cable needle or anything like that. When you just have 2 stitches involved in your cable, it's really easy just to manipulate the stitches like that and change up the orientation and then knit them. But you can see those 2 were done with my DPN. That was done with just manipulating the stitches with my fingers. And there you go. That's the 1F, 1B. Now we're going to do this next stitch, the third stitch, the 1B, 2F. It is a right leaning cable involving 3 stitches. We're going to take the 1 stitch, hold it to the back, knit 2 stitches off your left hand needle, and then knit the stitch on your cable needle. because it says B, it is a right leaning cable. We're just going to do it next in this line. So you take the next stitch on your left needle, hold it to the back. You're going to knit the next 2 stitches off your left hand needle. And then knit the stitch off your cable needle. And that's what it looks like. I'll do that again. For the ones that have 3 stitches or more, I always like to use a DPN or a cable needle. Take your next stitch onto your left hand needle, hold it to the back. It is a right leaning cable. Knit the next 2 stitches off your left needle. Knit the next stitch on your, or knit the stitch on your cable needle. There you go. That's, you can see how it is a right leaning cable. It's these 2 right here. Involves 3 stitches. Sorry. It is this one and this one. Right leaning cable. Alright, then the last stitch we're going to do is the cable 2F, 1B. It is there's an F there. You're holding those stitches to the front, so it will be a left leaning cable. It involves 3 stitches. You're going to hold 2 stitches to the front on your cable needle. You're going to knit one off your left needle, then knit the 2 stitches off your cable needle. Like I said, you're going to get your cable needle DPN, the next 2 stitches on your left needle, put them on your cable needle, hold them to the front, knit 1 stitch off your left hand needle, and then knit the stitches off your cable needle. This makes, since you held it to the front, makes it lean to the left. Involves 3 stitches. It looks like that. Alright, let's try that again. To do this, you put the next 2 stitches off your left needle on a cable needle, hold it to the front. Knit the next stitch on your left needle. Then go knit the stitches off your cable needle or DPN. And there you have it. I did these 3. These are all this 2F, 1B left leaning cable involving 3 stitches. And there you have it. Those are all the cable stitches in the Japanese sampler scarf for this month. Now let's move on to the Lacey version of this blanket. Okay, these are the stitches for the Lacey version of this blanket. Now, I just showed you how to do the knit and purl and the knit and the bobble and the purl stitch. These are the same, and the edge stitch. These 4 stitches are just the same that I showed you for the cable version. Since they are in this video now and not in another video, please just rewind and go back and watch that. They will be the same. Alright, we're going to do these stitches here for the Lacey version, which is just new because we've done these already. Knit 2 together on the right side, SKP, yarn over, knit 3 together, SK2P. This SK2P is new. We did all of these last month, but we're going to do them again, and this SK2P is new. The first stitch is a knit 2 together, so you're just going to take the next 2 stitches on your left hand needle, slide them down closer to the edge so you can work your right hand needle in like that. Wrap your yarn around it, knit those 2 stitches together. It is a right leaning decrease. You can see those 2 stitches there. I'll do it again. Involves the next 2 stitches on your left hand needle. Insert your right hand needle into both stitches like that. Wrap your yarn around, pull it through both of those stitches. Whoops, I split my yarn through both of those stitches and pull it through. And it looks like that. The next one is an SKP stitch. Really simple. S means slip, K means knit, P means pass the slip stitch over. So you're going to slip the first stitch. It involves 2 stitches on your it involves the next 2 stitches on your left hand needle. It will take those 2 stitches and decrease them down to 1. You're going to slip the first stitch knitwise. So knitwise, as if you're going to knit it, you just insert it like this, slip it, knit the next stitch on your left hand needle, take that slip stitch and take it up and over that knitted stitch. It is a left leaning decrease. Your 2 stitches become 1. See how it is leaning to the left there? Again, slip it involves the next 2 stitches. Slip the first stitch knitwise. Knit the next stitch on your left hand needle. Take that slip stitch like this and take it up and over and off that right hand needle, and it looks like that. SKP. 2 stitches become 1. The next stitch is a yarn over stitch. This is where you're going to create a hole in your knitting. There's a couple of ways to do a yarn over. If your next stitch after the yarn over is just a knit stitch, all you have to do is you bring your yarn to the front of your right hand needle, wrap your yarn around it. You're creating an extra stitch in your knitting. This is where you do want to have a hole in your knitting. You're creating a hole. If the next stitch is a knit stitch, you just take it up and over and then knit the next stitch. And it looks like this. So you have that thing that you're always trying to prevent is this, and it will create a hole in your knitting. Now sometimes the next stitch after a yarn over will be a purl stitch. You still do it the same way. You bring your yarn to the front, up and over and around. But if it is a purl stitch, to do the purl stitch, you have to bring your yarn to the front. So you end up going all the way around your stitch like that. Let me show that again. Bring your yarn to the front for the yarn over. If the next stitch is a purl stitch, you would just bring it all the way around like that to purl the next stitch. The effect is still the same. You still have a yarn, your extra added stitch, and you will have a hole in your knitting right there. There's the yarn over, and there's the yarn over. The next stitch is a knit 3 together. This one is a little bit harder to do just because you've got to fit your right hand needle into the next 3 stitches on your left hand needle. So I like to scooch this down as much as you can. Maybe use your finger to hold your stitches on there so they won't slide off, but scooch them down so that you can insert your right hand needle through all the 3 stitches on your left hand needle. Again, you have to insert your right hand needle through all 3 stitches on your left hand needle like that. Wrap your yarn around, pull it through. Knit 3 together. It is a right leaning decrease. It's like the left, it is like the knit 2 together, but you're using 3 stitches. You can see 1, 2, 3. Again, let's do it again one more time. It involves the next 3 stitches on your left hand needle. I use my finger to kind of hold it because you have to scooch it down to the edge. Insert your right hand needle through all 3 stitches like that. Wrap your yarn around. Pull it through, over and off, and there you go. Knit 3 together. 3 stitches become 1. Right leaning decrease. Alright, the next stitch is called an SK2P. I have shown this on my channel many times, but it is also a decrease stitch. The S stands for slip the stitch. K2 is a knit 2 together, which we just did, and then the P stands for pass the slip stitch over. So it's going to involve 3 stitches on your left needle. The first stitch you're going to slip it as if you're going to knit it. So you insert your right hand needle as if you're going to knit and just slip it to the right hand needle. The next 2 stitches you're going to knit these 2 together. Sorry, I can't talk. So you insert your right hand needle through both of those 2 stitches, knit them together, do a knit 2, and then you've got the P part, so you're going to take that slip stitch and take it up and over and off your right needle and up and over that knit 2 together, and it looks kind of like your SKP, except it involved 3 stitches instead of 2, and your 3 stitches were decreased to 1. Looks like that. That's the SK2P. Let's try that again. Again, it's going to involve 3 stitches on your left hand needle. The first stitch, you insert your right hand needle as if you're going to knit it, but you just slip it. The next 2 stitches you're going to knit together. So scooch them down, hold it together, insert your right hand needle into the next 2 stitches. Knit those 2 stitches together like that. And then now you just got to pass that slip stitch up and over those knit 2 togethers. And that's what it looks like. It is a left leaning decrease that you created. 3 stitches became 1. And that's all there is. Those are all the stitches for the Lacey version. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to put a comment below or send me an email, and I'm happy to help. I am still working on my monthly clue. I'm almost finished with it. I've got just a little bit more to go, but I'll be showing this in my vlog that'll be coming up for the weekend. But I hope I just give you like a little bit of peek at some of these beautiful stitches, and I hope you enjoyed that. And again, if you're knitting it, let me know. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please take care of yourselves, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.